that's a good one. Welcome back, everybody. So just like humans, occasionally fish have to overcompensate for things. Occasionally they don't want a really easily eaten bait or lure, and sometimes you got to go big. So today we're hitting them with the King Daddy. We're going back out to the mats, and this is one of those experiments that should, in theory, help us out catch a couple more fish. Last time we were out here, we were in the mats with the rattle, and that worked out phenomenally. This should do something a little bit similar, but a little bit more subtle. So obviously it's a bigger profile, so they should be able to, you know, see it a little bit easier. And it's an ounce, which is crazy heavy. So it should put a little bit more indentation into the mat. And again, you know, a little bit more water disturbance when you're moving around. So they should be able to find it. Will they be able to eat it? That's a good question, because this is a massive frog. But nevertheless, let's get after it and see what happens. So for comparison, this frog is an ounce, which most frogs are like 5/8 of an ounce, so it's almost double. And look how much bigger that thing is. Just absolutely ridiculous. So they should be able to find this super well. I think that we're good, like, I guess my anticipation is that we're going to get a fair number of bites, but they're just going to be popping this thing out of the water and not able to actually get a hold of it. It does look like there's a little bit thicker gauge hook, so we're in the mini boat, hopefully giving us a little bit better platform to set the hook into those fish, because I assume it'll just be a little bit more difficult. It's from Spro, so plastic is super flexible and really soft, so collapsibility should be no problem at all. But this will be an interesting one. Looks like we're frog fishing for like muskie or something, but let's get after it. All right, first cast with the King Daddy. It's so heavy. And I think because it actually sits a little bit higher, it doesn't grab onto that algae or mat as much, which is, that's nice. A lot of the smaller ones are the normal sized frogs, I guess. They kind of pick that up a little bit, so that's a nice little feature. I guess I didn't really think of. Still think we're gonna have a hard time hooking up with fish though, unless it truly is a big one. Oh, there's our first bite. Missed it. Yeah, I figured that would happen. Definitely not a good frog day. Only had a couple bites and they were basically back to back, and that was about it. So threw some other frogs, didn't have any bites on those either, so I think it's just a bad day in general, and we got those storms rolling in. So to be determined. So far, kind of what we thought would happen has happened. It's just a little bit more difficult for them to get a bigger bait through the mat. But again, it's only been a couple of fish, and you know, they weren't the most aggressive today, so time will tell. We'll get back here and use this again. So it's been a couple weeks since we've been throwing the frogs, and the King Daddy was the last time I think we were out. And in those past couple weeks, the mats that we were catching fish on every single time we came out, they're gone. Not flooded or anything else like that, like just gone. I don't know if it was the cold temperatures that we had overnight or what, but there's a couple sparse pieces here and there and a couple of lily pads, but that's about it. There's one piece that's a little bit thicker, a little bit more conglomerated down on the end, and we'll fish that for a little bit, but we'll have to start searching for some fish in some other places. So that'll be interesting. There are a couple little fields or patches of lily pads, so we'll probably go fish those with a frog and see if we can't catch a couple. But I assume the fish probably aren't here anymore, so this will be interesting. Let's get after it. Oh, that's a good one. Don't come off. No, no, don't come off. Don't come off. That's a good one, finally. Oh, he's barely hooked. Got him. That finally got one, and it is a good one on the King Daddy. Oh, it took us a long time to get a bite like that. It's really difficult to catch fish when they're not all stacked in one spot and just bite on everything. We'll get out the scale and get a measure on this one. All right, we are zeroed out. Yes. That's wanting to flop. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're still doing it? Come on now. There you go. Good. Calm down. There you go. No, just calm down. That is 382. 382. That's a good one. Took us a while to get one. This is the first bite we've had. I'm happy that we ended up catching it. All right, get at least there she goes. All right, our first fish on the King Daddy, and it was a decent sized fish. So can you use this for smaller fish? I would think so, but obviously going to be a little bit more difficult to hook some of those 1 and 2 pounders. That one actually had a relatively small mouth for almost being 4. It was feeding very, very well. This video might only have 1 fish, but I'm just so disappointed that our mats are gone and frog fishing seems to be wildly worse right now, that we might have a video with only 1 fish in it. But maybe it's picking up right closer to dark, which is much more normal. And when we had the ridiculous amounts of mats, it seemed like it was the opposite. Middle of the day was the best time to catch fish. But let's keep after it. Hopefully we can get at least 1 or 2 more. Well, that was one of the roughest days fishing I've had potentially all summer. We ended up with 2 bites. One we obviously caught, and the other one I think was too small to actually get the frog in its mouth. Didn't even set the hook on it. So but that's the name of the game with big baits, is you're basically going for a big fish or going for broke, and that's exactly what happened today. I was very, very happy to get the only fish that bit, and it was a good one, so that was very nice, but definitely rough. The one thing I do like about this King Daddy a ton though, especially fishing those mats, was that the frog and the hook sat so much higher off those mats, so it never got hung up on anything, which was absolutely phenomenal. So I wish we had the mats still going and, you know, they were still biting on that, but obviously not the case. So we'll definitely use this again. It might not be till next year, but we'll definitely be using this again. But now I'm going to go out tomorrow and fish with the micro lures just to make myself feel good and catch a few fish. So we'll go out and do that. Got one. Finally. Come on, buddy. What are you? Nice gill. Absolutely. Hand size, probably almost 9. Maybe 8 3/4. But we will let him go. Catch some more. That was a good one. Oh, got one. Is it in the grass, or is that a decent one? I don't know. That might be another gill. Don't jump. Oh. Oh, little bass. Oh no, don't. Oh gosh. That's gonna be rough. Come on. Get over there. There we go. Just barely. Not a big one. Not like catching a 3-pounder or 4-pounder, but it is fun catching them consistently. Got him. That's fighting pretty good. You a bass or you a gill? Feels more gill-like. Get out of there. Oh, it's a bass. Just didn't really fight like it. That's not a bad one. Not a bad one at all. Oh boy. There we go. Skinny. Maybe 3/4 of a pound. There we go. That might be the biggest one we've caught on a popper. Thought it was just a big gill, but apparently not. Oh, got one. Did it? Just sitting there. Another. Oh, that's a small bass. There we go. Little guy. He's got some interesting colors. It's not a spot, but it's almost looks like it's a spot. That's kind of weird. We don't have spots up here, but that's strange. Oh, got him. That's a gill. Oh, he threw it. Whenever they don't have a big splash, you know that's a gill. Well, I guess that's something to learn, is that you have to go ahead and retie much more often with, that wasn't even at the knot, with these light lines. Should have realized that. We didn't catch anything big, so, and we haven't had anything break off previously, so I guess I didn't really think about it, but obviously with the amount of stress that you're putting on that line every time you're whipping out the bait, something to learn. Well, that's it for today. Ended up catching a few fish. We did end up losing our only popper, which is unfortunate, but a learning opportunity to just, I guess, be more cognizant of retying that line much more often with obviously 4-pound test than what you need to on normal bass tackle. But again, we'll learn and do better going forward. Obviously, if you guys are new to finesse or ultralight fishing, definitely something to think about. We didn't even catch any big fish on that, and it didn't break at the knot. It broke somewhere a little bit up above. I assume probably where the bass had rubbed its teeth on or something like that. But it was fun catching more fish. The fish we caught, obviously, were not the same as catching a 4-pounder by any means, but the amount of action that we had is obviously what you're kind of shooting for with the ultralights and catching those fish when nothing else does. But as always, if you guys like the video, if you wouldn't mind liking, and if you want to see more videos like it, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated also. Till the next one.